Hello again, and blessed be to all my magical followers. This is Dragoness4 coming at you with another magical tutorial. And today I'm going to teach you how to make a Lumos wand. Now, the journey so far that I've taken you on, I've taught you how to make a basic wand out of using construction paper, poster board in other words. You make a basic wand. Using the same method with the construction paper, you can make a core exchanger wand with the end that comes off that you can put the stuff in it, and with the crystal tip. This is the method we're going to use for this one. Okay, so you're going to need a construction paper. You're probably not going to be able to do this with a smaller wand, so you're going to have to use the construction paper. I'm not going to go through the actual process of making the wand since it's already in the videos, but I'll just give you a brief synopsis of what happened in the previous video. Okay, with construction paper, with the poster board in other words, you take it at the corner, wrap it around a pencil, and then till you get like the full thing wrapped around, and then you remove the pencil, okay, and then you use the masking tape, tape it down, use the masking tape, go around the whole wand, and then you cut off the end even, okay, and then you glue the cap from the water bottle onto the top of it, onto the end after you cut off it even, and that makes a core exchanger wand like I did in the previous video. So check out the previous videos if you're not sure what I'm talking about, because this is a little bit more technical. I'm just going to cover the technical stuff and not the wand, so you'll see that. You can go to check out my other video. If you subscribe, it'll be down like in the list a little bit, just a little bit, couple spaces down. Alright, for the Lumos wand, what you're going to need some batteries, some button cell batteries, and the price of this stuff varies. So, like this pack here, I got a 24 pack at a store, a various size button size. It was only $2.99. So, depending upon where you shop, you could either have a real expensive process or a fairly cheap process. But you're going to need 2 button cell batteries. And these button cells are only 1.5 volts each, so we need 2 of them. Okay, you need a switch of some kind, and depending upon what kind of switch you want, you preferably want a smaller size switch, and there's like a lot of different switches you can pick from. There's push on, push off switches. Like this one here is a temporary one, whereas it'll only activate while you're holding it down. So that's one I'm going to use, and depending upon what you want to use. And this, I should say before I start, that this is going to be a non-solder project. So I'm keeping it really simple here, and you don't have to solder it. There's not a lot of stuff involved. The wiring is really fairly basic to do. So you need a switch. You're going to need some kind of jewelry closure assortments, preferably silver. You don't want anything in plastic, so try to get the silver ones if you can. Like this is a 48 pack, comes with the spring part and the claws. You're going to need 2 little pieces out of that. So we're using 2 silver jewelry closer springs. You're going to need an LED light, and in this case here, because this is being made for somebody, they wanted a pink tip. The LED lights, there's a lot of different ones available, and because we want to keep this simple, and so I'm using ones that have a forward supply of 3.5 volts with a maximum of 4 volts, which means that if you use 2 of these batteries, the power that has the they're in two of the batteries together, that's only 3 volts, which will light up an LED, this particular LED light. If you use more than 4 volts to light this up, you could burn out your LED light. So then you have to add resistors in there to order to alter the current a little bit. So it, I think it's current. I'm not technically, electronically speaking, that great in electronics, but you have to add like a resistor in there so it'll resist the extra amount, and so it won't burn out your circuit. Okay. You're going to need a micro binder clip that you use for putting on files and sheets of paper or whatever. You need the micro-sized one. You're going to need a crochet hook, which is an optional step, but it's definitely going to help the process to do this. A shirt button with the 2 holes, although you could use the 4-hole ones, but you don't want ones that are like sewn on with like the fabric material or whatever buttons. You just want like a basic plastic button, and again, this will help you with the step. You're going to need a fairly sturdy straw, some masking tape, a needle nose pliers with a side cutter on it, a side wire cutter, or alternatively you can use pliers or a tweezers or something, but you need something to be able to strip the wire, and so you might as well just get this, and it's both steps, and you can use it for both processes. You're going to need a focusing crystal, and what this is at craft stores, they're like decorative crystals that they use for putting in vases and stuff, and a lot of times you find them back in the sections where like the wedding and bridal sections and stuff, and also in the home decor sections. Although they do use them for other things, but that's the aisles you should look into for it. And they'll usually come in a pack like 100. You want like, and the ones I get, they have like 3 different sizes in the package, and you want like a medium size. So that's what it looks like. It just looks like a cut diamond, and it's not even real, although they do have the real ones, but those are real expensive. This is just plastic, but it works for what we have to do. You'll need some electrical tape, masking tape, a piece of poster board that's cut to 3 inches, and you're going to need some craft cord, craft wire, I mean. They usually sell this. I guess they make like jewelry and bracelets out of it. I'm not really sure. But it's this really ultra thin wire. It's sometimes in copper, sometimes it's in silver, but it's really ultra thin, and so that's what makes this process a really easy to do project, because you don't have to get like solder anything on here. Okay, and you're going to need your core exchanger wand, which I explained how to make in the previous video. Okay, well, let's get started. Yeah, oh, and one more thing. You're going to need a glue gun with glue sticks. Okay, I've already got mine plugged in down here. And let's walk you through what we're going to do here. Okay, you're going to need to take your straw, take it out of the wrapper. Okay, now for the LED lights, the way the LED lights work is there's 2 different lengths of lead. The smaller length will go on to the negative side of the battery, which is the hump side. You know, on your battery you have the flat surface, and then there's the hump side. That's going to go on, that has to connect to your hump side. And then the other one will connect to your switch. So we're going to be making a fairly basic circuit here. Okay. So now, first, we're going to take our button, we're going to slide the LED into the button, into the holes, like so. So you get that. And then we're going to put a slight bit of glue right around the edge. You don't want to get the glue on the wires because that might make it so the electricity won't flow through there. So we're going to take a drop of glue, bring this button, push it up against the thing, and just push a little drop of glue right along the edge here. Just to glue this in place. You don't need a lot of glue. You don't want to like melt your LED or anything, so don't use a whole ton of glue here. Just a little drop of glue to do it. Alright. Next, we're going to take the straw, and I'm going to show you first what we're going to be doing with this. But before we actually assemble it, we're going to test the circuits out once we make it, before we actually assemble it into the thing. When we get it fully tested out to make sure our circuits are working, what we're going to do is they're going to have the wire attached to these leads. And then we're going to slip this into the straw like so, and put a little drop of glue around there, around the edge of the straw. And then this is going to go into your wand. And so the straw will make it a lot easier of a process to get this into the wand. So that step is we're going to take care of later, but I'm just telling you now what we're going to be doing with it. Okay. Next, we're going to take the LED and we're going to use our pliers that I mentioned. We're going to just slightly bend this, just a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of a bend in this. Again, we're not doing one where you have to solder or anything like that. This is just a straight little bend on each side. Just curl it over the edge of the pliers here. Put a little bend in it, and then just kind of press it down so it forms a little loop that'll keep the wire in place here. Okay. So you see what I'm doing here? See, I'm making that little loop right on the wire here. All right. So we got a loop on both sides like that. Okay. Now, we're going to build the battery pack first. So we're reverse engineering this because of the fact that if you build a battery pack first, it's going to make it a lot easier to test your circuits, because the way it has to work, the long side of the LED has to go in a straight unit down to the batteries. The batteries then connect to another piece, which runs through the switch, and then the switch goes to the negative side. So it's creating like a loop of electricity, basically. Okay. So, and it's a lot easier to test it out first like that. All right, now to make this battery pack, and unfortunately, little batteries, and you need kind of the button-sized batteries to fit into this wand. You can't really find battery packs for them that easily. There are a couple places online where you can get them like customized and to the size you need and whatever, but most of the time you can't really find them that easily. So you're going to have to kind of get creative and make your own battery pack here. Okay, so you're going to need to take a piece of poster board and wrap it around something that's slightly bigger than the size of your battery. And again, this has to be 3 inches to accommodate the fact that we need 2 batteries and 2 clasps to attach the wire to in order to make this circuit. So it's 3 inches. It's wrapped around something slightly bigger than the size of the battery. In this case, what I did is I wrapped it around a thick pen. It was like a thick-based pen, so I wrapped it around, made this tube. You could also wrap it around a dowel rod, or if you don't have that, you could also wrap it around a pencil and maybe do a couple layers and then take the inside layer out until you get the thickness you need. Okay, you're going to take one of your wires, And since you could use 2 different color wires like I'm doing if you want to, but it's not necessary. It just makes it a little easier to, if you have to have check your circuits or whatever, it'll make it easier if you use 2 different color wires. So we're going to use 2 different color wires. In this case, I'm using a black one for the positive side, and a red one for the negative. It doesn't really, or a pink one, whatever this is, pink for the negative side. Okay, now, after you've made your tube, you're going to take your masking tape here, and you're going to wrap this tube to strengthen it. If I can get my masking tape loose. Sorry about that, I'm having technical difficulties. Alright, so we're going to wrap this masking tape around this tube that we just rolled. This will strengthen this a little bit. And so we're basically making our own battery pack for this. Okay, I'm done with that. Alright, so we're going to have a tube that's wrapped with the masking tape. Alright, now, next, I took this wire and I cut it in half, and then I used my pliers with the side cutter strippers, and you just want to gently, you don't want to go all the way through the wire, you just want to gently, break the casing basically, and then pull it off, so you'll have an exposed wire like that. So, it doesn't take a lot of pressure. If you put too much pressure, you're going to go through the wire. So you're just going like that, and then just pulling it off. And I did it in both ends of the wire, and on both sides of the wire. So I did cut, I cut it in half, because it's going to make this process a lot easier than trying to do one continuous full wire. Now we're going to make a battery pack. You're going to take a jewelry closure, which is like one of these little attachment springs for jewelry making. Okay, you're going to take your wire, strip off enough of the plastic, and then you're going to bend it and twirl it around this closure. And this broke the wire here just a little bit here. This process is not, doing electronic circuitry is not that easy to do. I mean, this is basic, but and this is fairly easy, basic wise compared to some electronics, but it's still, there are sometimes mishaps. Okay, so we're going to bend this around this like so, and then we're going to kind of push it around. So it's on this piece, okay, and then kind of pull it just a little bit so it's up on tension under this spring part. Okay, so you see what I've got here? So far we got the wire attached to the spring here, and this is going to act as a battery pack for us. Now we're going to slip this piece here into this tube part. Then we're going to push the tube shut, so it's like this, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on the camera, but you'll see how the spring is inside this tube, if you can see it, I don't know. And we're going to just crush this end part closed like this, okay, so it'll have the spring going this way, inside the tube. We're going to crush that shut like that, and then we're going to tape it, and you can use the masking tape or the electrical tape. Okay, and in this case I'm using the electrical tape, and it's just going to seal it in there. So this is going to be our battery pack. Now, using the other end of this we're going to make another piece here that's going to go and connect into the middle of the wand. So we're going to run this end through the straw to the LED, and then this is going to connect here to this bottom part. So we're going to need to make a lead for the other side. So we're going to take our other wire of the other color, if you're using two different colors, and we're going to fold it in half and then cut it in half. And we're going to strip off the end like we just did with this piece. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing connection wise that we just did with this piece here, other than we're not going to crush it into this end. So we're not going to crush the end of this end of the tube. You only want this end crushed and fastened down. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Okay, so now we're going to bend this wire around this connector. And again, silver works really good if you can get the silver connectors, because of it conducts the electricity really well. Now we're going to bend this on here, and we're going to get this under the piece and kind of force it in, force it under that spring part. Alright, so now this is going to be the other end, which will go to the negative side of the battery. For your batteries, I'm going to unplug my thing here temporarily. My thing is getting too hot on this melter here. My glue melter. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take these batteries, and this is going to be a pain, but it's about the best you can do, because of the fact that trying to get a battery pack for these buggers is just really insane. So we're going to gently put this in here, and we're going to try to guide it in against the spring in here using, like, say, the back of a pencil or something. So maybe a dowel rod or something, and you want it both batteries facing the same way. So in this case, the bump side, which is the negative side, has to be facing out. So temporarily hold it between your fingers, and then gently kind of push it down in there, and try to line it up. This is a step that's really a pain, but it will make it so you can change your batteries out if you have to. Because unless you want to invest in having someone customize a battery case, you're pretty much going to have to do this step and hope for the best, Oh, come on. Right. Sometimes it might be a little easier to load it from the top. Push it in. It's almost there. Just gotta push it a little bit more to get it lined up. Come on. See, once the battery actually gets in there and sits in place, then it won't be as much trouble to get it back in again. But it's the first initial time to get it pressed into place that's kind of tricky. Alright, I think I got it in. There we go. That's one. Now for the second one. I would recommend in this step here, so you don't have to have your other battery coming out, that you put a little bit of tension on that first battery by holding it between your finger, putting some pressure on this tube so it won't flip out on you while you're trying to get the second one in there. Okay, there we go. I got both batteries in there. So I got two batteries in there. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this other wire here, that's the second color wire, we're going to put it into this end here, but we're not going to seal this end down, because you want to make this so you can easily replace these if you have to. what we're going to do, we're not permanently sealing this. We're going to temporarily seal this circuit. So we're going to take our binder clip, bring this wire just to the corner here so it's not in your way. You're going to take your binder clip, put the binder clip on top of this, like so. And line it up because this is going to be just fit into the mouth of this wand. So you're going to put it like this, and then you're going to fold the arms down, like so. So that's going to be our battery pack for this project. Okay, and now I'll show you with just a quick test. You take your LED light, put the cord here, and right now we don't have a switch in there, so it will light up as you see. Can you see? All right, so that's what we got so far, and it makes the process a lot easier if you take it and do your battery pack first. Okay, next we're going to take our other end here, our other pieces that are cut loose, which we haven't attached anything yet. Okay, now one side is going to be on the negative side and one side is going to be on the positive side, and again you can test this out just to make sure that you're got the sides lined up. Okay, so this is the positive side here, so we're going to take our positive wire, which is our black wire in this case, and we're going to put it through this loop right here, okay, that we made in the LED. And again, this is a no solder project that we're doing right now. So we're going to loop it through and twist it on, and then maybe press it just a little bit. Okay. Now, again, you can test it, just make sure. But we're also going to take this wire here and put it on the negative side. So we're going to have to strip this off, strip it even, like that. So we're going to have it on both sides. Okay, now put it on the negative side. Just bend it over, lightly twirl it, and again, see, technical difficulties will happen, so allow yourself enough wire to compensate. And see, now the way you want to judge the amount of wire you need is you're going to take enough to reach through your straw, allowing a little bit extra, and then you're going to have about the same amount on coming off the other end, because it's going to be connected in the center of this wand here. So it's like you got to have just enough wire to come out just a little bit past the length of the wand, whatever length you end up making. All right, so now we're gonna do that. Just stripped it off again. All right, now carefully put it through the end piece here, and again, very gently kind of put the pressure on there and wrap it around. Okay, so now we got two wires coming off the LED like so. Okay, now again we can test this out by just holding the wires together, and you're going to see if it lights up. If it lights up, then so far your circuit's okay, and it does. So now what we're going to do here, we're going to take a little bit of the electrical tape, and we're just going to put a little bit of electrical tape around these wires just to protect these so they don't fall apart here. And it'll also keep it from touching, because if it touches, it's going to screw up your circuit here. Because you don't want the negative touching the positive side, because of if it does, it's going to make it so it won't work. So we're just going to take this little piece of electric tape here and just go between the prongs. Very gently wrap this just a little bit, and you could also use like heat shrink tubing if you want to, instead of electrical tape, or you could use the ultra-conductive tape, which is specialized for electronic circuits, where it has the inside is metal coated and the outside is non-conductive. So if you want to use that, you can use that too, but you don't really have to. It's more expensive. It depends upon how much you want to put into this. But I'm trying to make it so it keeps this project simple for y'all to do. Alright, so I've got it wrapped with the electrical tape around there. We're going to test it once more. And believe me, testing this before you do any glue ups or permanent connections works wonders. Alright, and it's still lighting up, yes, I think. Let's see. Oops. Come on. There. And let's see, is it lighting up? Yes. Alright, so we still got a good circuit going here. Okay. Now that that's taken care of, we're going to take these wires and we're going to thread them through our straw. Remember the straw that I said you're going to need in another step. We're going to take these and thread this through the straw. And I'm going to need to put my hot melt back on here. Okay, so we're going to take this, go through the straw, carefully try to get this into the straw here without breaking this thing. And if you can't get it all the way in, try not to force it. It's better to have it sticking out on the one end than trying to force it into the straw. Okay, but I managed to get it. Before we permanently glue this, let's test it one more time just to make sure we didn't break any wires. Okay, it's lighting up good. Alright, so now you see what I've got so far. Now we're going to put a drop of glue right here. Alright, so now we got a drop of glue right on there against the button. Again, you don't want to put it on directly on the LED because you don't want to melt the LED or burn out the LED. So you're just going against that button, and that's what the button helps to hold the prongs apart to make it easier to work with, and it also will anchor it in place when you're gluing it into the straw. Okay, now we're going to take our straw. We're going to carefully feed this through, and you want to try to pull push your wires together. You don't have to fasten them together, but just you want to kind of push them down together so it gets through this wand a little bit easier. And we're not going to glue this straw in just yet until we actually make sure we got our circuit working here. So we're going to take this and feed this into the wand carefully. And you see what I'm doing? Okay, now. Oh, by the way, on the wand I cut a slice, four cuts across to make a little cross cut on the end of this wand here. So I cut it with a little piece of, with a scissors, I mean. And you want it just slightly in there. Okay. You're going to take this end off of the end cap off temporarily. And then you need your crochet hook. And this is the tricky part. You're going to have to make a hole. First off, before you do this step, I should have mentioned, you're going to need to take a knife or something and poke through the center of your wand and then widen the hole just enough to where to fit the switch in here. Okay, and if you're too young to use a knife, you can have an adult do this for you. And then you're going to need to take your crochet hook, although you could use your pliers or possibly hope you can fish it through. But if you can't do that, it makes it a lot easier with that crochet hook if you can fish the wires out, and you have to bring the wires up top in order to connect them. There's no easy way around this, unfortunately, that I know of, other than maybe cutting your wand in half and doing it and making like a two-piece wand or something. I don't know. It's kind of tricky. Okay, so we got the wires fished through on this end here. I'm going to gently push this straw down just a little bit. Okay. Now we got the wire sticking out the center, like so. Okay. Now, for this battery pack, we're going to have to take both ends of these wires and try to put this binder clip facing out this way toward the end of the wand. It'll make it a lot easier if you have to replace your batteries or anything than trying to flip it over while you try to pull it out. Okay, so we're gonna feed this into this side of the wand. Okay. And again, we're going to use our temporarily bend the other ones that you fed through already. Temporarily bend those down toward the tip so you can fish these other wires through. And again, be careful because you don't want to break your wires. And this is a cheap project, so if you end up breaking wires or whatever, it's not going to be a major deal. This craft wire is not that expensive. The most expensive things about this are probably the LED light and the batteries. The switches aren't that high either. And it's almost in there. Alright, get in there, come on. And see, it just fits in this cap on the micro binder. And now we have to try to fish these wires through here. I think that I got one of them. Here. There's one. And unfortunately, it's not easy to see inside the wand. You're going to have to try to feel it out with your. You'll feel it if you catch on to it. Okay, now we got the other one out here. Okay, so now we got 4 wires sticking out. Okay, now these 2 that we just fished from this end here, and again you can see that how it just fits in that cap. So we can cap that off right now. All right, now these 2 on the black these 2 pink wires have to go to each other through the switch, and then these 2 are going to have to connect to each other without the switch. So we're forming a circuit here. Now taking your switch, and I like to go from the inside going out, so that way it kind of spreads it a little bit so it doesn't want to touch as easily. Because again, if it touches, it's going to short your circuit out, and that would not be good. Okay, so going from the outside in, place it through the prongs. There should be, if you get these basic monetary or ones, and I'm only using a 2 prongs switch here. So you see how I just fed it through these little prongs. There's a hole that's just big enough to fit that wire in there. Alright, now we're going to temporarily test this. Okay, now our circuits are working. Now you see how I did this? I attached this to this side through the switch here. And then these the 2 black wires are going to connect together, so we're making one continuous loop of electricity. Okay, so we're going to now that our circuit is working, we're going to wind these together. And I just like to kind of double it down around itself like this. Okay, now you see what I just did here? I just wound this wire together and I doubled it. We're going to put a little bit of electrical tape on that just to protect it. And just be gently wrap that, okay? Be very careful. And now that we got our other circuit, again, we're going to test it again. And yes, it's working. Okay. So we're going to gently bring these wires around and wrap them around their base here so they don't pull out. And then we're going to put a little bit of electrical tape on these wires that go to the switch. And just so it'll separate them and protect the wires. So we're just going to go around that just a little bit. One on each lead. Get this one connected just a little bit better. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put this on here. Again, just carefully wrap that around the thing. You see what I'm doing here? Alrighty. Now, again, test it out. Just make sure before you do your final glue ups. Alright, now everything is running. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take these wires and feed them down gently into the body of the wand. And again, you're using the crochet hook does come in handy because you could push it down there a little bit. Or you could use your pliers if you have to. Now you want to gently feed these, don't force them. Just feed them in there gently into the wand itself. So the wires will be on the inside of the wand. Alright, we're getting there. We're almost done. Bear with me. Alright, now, okay, it's still working. Now we can glue this section in place right here. And I got my glue gun already hooked up. Now we're just going to put a little bit of glue around the switch. Keep it anchored in place. I'm using hot melt glue. If there's some other glue you'd like to use, that's up to you. Okay. And you didn't want enough to cover it, but you don't want it to interfere with the movement of the switch. Okay. Now test it. Alright. Now, here's what we have so far. Now you see the battery pack just fits in there. We got the battery pack that we created with the binder clip on this end where the cap is. Okay, so it goes into your circuit, and then the circuit on the one side goes into the switch, and it comes out here to your wand. Now, from this end here, if you choose to, you could leave it raw like this, and then just glue it off around the LED if you choose to. And this makes it look a lot nicer, and it's a nicer touch. Push this just a little bit. Don't force it. Just lightly push your straw in. Take this crystal that I told you about before. Okay, and depending upon which way you put this crystal in, the pattern of the light will change. If you put it in like this, with the point going into the wand, you're going to get a wider pattern, but there'll be a little bit less illumination, okay? Now, if you put it point out, you'll get a narrower beam, but it'll be a little bit brighter looking. Now, I think it looks a little better that way, too. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to push this into this cross cut that I did on the wand, like so, okay, with the point out. And then we're going to push the edges of of this, sorry about that, kind of popped out. And we're going to just kind of push that in there, and then we're going to push the edges of the cardboard around the crystal edge, like so. And then we're going to put the glue in place to keep it in place. Okay, so it's a little tricky to get it in there, but it's well worth it, because I think it, in my opinion, but it's up to you. You could either leave it raw, or you could put it facing the other way, or you could go this way with it, like I'm doing. Alright, so now it's in there. Now we're going to glue it in place. And again, you don't want to get the glue down into the on the LED. Just want to glue around on this edge of this crystal and onto this paper here, so the poster board. Right, so we're just gluing the edge of this little crystal thingy here. And put a little extra glue just around the edge here, just to make sure it's everything's going to hold in place here. I just like to thoroughly collar the edge of my work here, in order to make sure that nothing's falling out. So I'm actually going across the tines here. All right, and now you got your Lumos wand, and it's lighting up, and you can see I'm in bright room here, and you can see it on camera, so it's a pretty bright light. Now, a little tip: everything is glued. We're pretty much technically finished, and again, you can design this or paint this however you want prior, and I recommend doing your painting and whatever prior to putting in your circuits and crystals. Okay. Now, little tip. Now, these little switches that usually you can pull the top off, like so. So again, this project is a choking hazard, possible strangulation hazard. If you got it near like a pet or a small baby or whatever, they could possibly choke on this stuff. So be careful. But in my opinion, now this is up to you. This is just a personal preference thing. You could either leave this top on this little switch, or pull it off, and then it hides the fact that there's a switch there a little bit. Okay, so it won't be as obvious. Now I'll show it to you in bright light, and I'll show it to you with the light off. All right, now there's with the light off, and you see how bright it is. You can actually see that you can see the chair here. You know, see it illuminates pretty well. And it's like it got like a widespread. And I know it's looking blue on there, but it's actually a pink tip wand. But there you go. Now you could use this same method to make, like, if you wanted to not put it into a paper wand, and you wanted to instead put it on like a real wooden wand, and you felt like maybe running the battery pack on the back, or maybe if you're that talented, you could actually cut out the wood out of the base and then put the battery in there somehow. You could use the same method like that too, and have fun with it. Just take your time with it. Don't rush it, and you'll have something that you could cherish for a long time. And it's actually fairly sturdy, considering that the thing is only made out of poster board. And you can see I'm pressing pretty hard on this, and it doesn't give way because of the fact that all the layers from the rolling the poster board actually strengthens it. And then when you do your paint job and your extra glue decorations like I did on here, where you could just take your hot melt glue or whatever and put the three-dimensional looks on there. And if you wanted to, you could also use it, you could put like clay or something on there, or you could put jewels or whatever. Like on this example here, on the end cap, I put a green stone on the end of it, green marble. And again, the crystal acts like a focusing crystal, so you get a really bright focus off of it. And yeah, that's how you make a light up wand, and it shows up really good on camera if you want to do any like camera work for magical whatever videos you're making, you know, and you could really use this for real spells too, because like a light up wand that I made a long time ago, I mean many years ago, I actually, what I did instead of doing it this way, I actually took a real piece of wood that I used, and I actually attached a battery pack to the side, and then I ran the wire around the wand, and then I covered it with like leather and stuff, and I had the end part covered in like a fabric material, you know, so it looks like actually, and I did that because of when I am pagan, and when I was first starting out, a lot of my time I would when I was doing my spell work, and I couldn't read my spells by candlelight. It was too dark, so I created a light up wand, and yeah, so have fun with it, enjoy, and again, just be careful that with your LEDs that you don't burn them out. But check your battery supply rating, you know, and for LEDs, see, there's various LEDs. I mean, there's bigger LEDs, there's smaller LEDs, there's LEDs that can change colors. You know, just shop around, look at them, and you know, it'll usually tell you on the back of the thing what the power supplies are and how much they can take. And if you're not sure, maybe ask your dealer that's selling them. And you know, you only need 2 batteries for in this example here, and again, this is an easy way to do it because of the fact that it has the LED prongs coming out of the base, you know, so it's real easy. It's a non-solder thing, so you don't have to worry about burning yourself and solder or whatever. And also, I would recommend that when you're doing your circuit, just if it lights up like it should, then it's okay. But if it's not lighting up, and if your battery holder is feeling hot, you could burn out. Your batteries possibly might explode, or you might burn out your LED. So just feel your battery pack. You know, if it's not lighting up, feel your battery pack, and then if it feels hot, you know, just disconnect it right away. Check your connections, because if it's feeling hot, then it's feeding the circuit back into itself improperly, so it's like overloading the battery. So you would probably have it trying to like reverse the power coming into it instead of going one way continuously from negative to positive in a circuit. You probably would have it going from positive to positive or negative, whatever. I'm not really sure how that works, but yeah. So just feel your battery. Make sure your battery pack. Make sure you're not overloading it. But anyways, I hope you enjoy it. If you do make these and you want to share your video or share a picture with me, feel free to drop me a link or feel free to email it to me or whatever. And that's how you make a light up wand. And hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Bye.